Hello and welcome. I'm Joseph Hoffman, and in this lesson, we'll learn how to play the A section of Elfin Dance, which comes from a wonderful collection of short piano pieces by Norwegian composer Edvard Grieg, who was born in the year 1843 and lived until 1907. First, let's listen to Elfin Dance, and as you listen, see if you think Elfin Dance is a good title. Do you see little elves dancing in your imagination? What kind of elves do you think these are? Friendly? Mischievous? Let's listen and find out. Let's check out the score for Elfin Dance. First up, we always check out the tempo indication, molto allegro, very fast, and sempre staccato, always staccato. So you're going to notice a lot of staccato markings in this score. Then I like to check our clefs. What do you notice that's different? We have treble clef, which is normal, but for the left hand, we're also going to be in treble staff. So get ready to have both hands in the upper part of the piano for this piece, and then we'll check our key signature. One sharp could be either G major or E minor. How do we know? Well, if you look at the first and last chord, you'll notice we both begin and end on an E minor chord. So safe to assume we are going to be in the key of E minor. And then our time signature is 3/4. We'll have 3 quarter note beats per measure. Whenever you learn a new song, go through that checklist so you're prepared. You know the mood and the tempo. You know what clef you're in. You know your key signature and time signature. Next up, before we learn to play this, I'd like to analyze some of the chords. Knowing which chords you're playing will help you learn this even faster and really understand what composer Edvard Grieg had in mind with this song. Okay, I've drawn a box around the chords I would like you to analyze. Let me give you a few hints to get you started. Remember, we're in the key of E minor, and so let's review our diatonic chords for E minor. We have the 1 chord, the 2 chord, 3 chord, 4 chord, 5 chord, 6 chord, 7 chord, and then we're back to the 1 chord. Remember, that's E natural minor, so the diatonic chords just go through all possible chords in that key, but we also have the possibility of using harmonic minor, which means it's possible instead of a D, any of these chords could use a D sharp instead. For example, this 3 chord could become this, the 4 chord could become this, the 5 chord with the D sharp becomes a B major chord. So remember, it's both possible to have a minor 5 chord or a major 5 chord, depending on whether we're using E natural minor or E harmonic minor. If that doesn't sound familiar to you, go back and review my lesson on E minor scales and then also diatonic chords for E minor. So remember, you could have B minor 5 chord or B major 5 chord. The C major chord is the 6th chord. D major 7 chord or D sharp diminished 7 chord if we use the D sharp from harmonic minor. So, for example, let's try one of these together. What if we wanted to analyze this chord right here? Well, we'd see we have a C, a G for the left hand, and then a C and an E up in the right hand. Remember, we're in treble clef for the both hands. So this is middle C, treble G, and then treble C, and then that E. But when we're analyzing chords, remember, we want to find the simplest arrangement of the notes possible. C's repeat, so we don't need this one. We can take this E down here, and just by rearranging those notes, we can see this is simply a C major chord, which in the key of E minor, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, since C is the 6th note of the scale, we would call that the 6th chord. I'm going to put a capital C up here to show it's a C major triad. Because it's the 6th chord, I'm going to put, we use Roman numerals in music for chord analysis. VI is the Roman numeral for 6. So it's the 6th chord, and it's a C major chord. A few little hints. Don't forget that all Fs are automatically sharp. In fact, one thing you might want to do is circle any Fs that are automatically sharp from our key signature. I found an F there. There's an F here, and then let's see down here. Any Fs you might want to circle. And then also don't forget for this chord here, a sharp that's placed in the music in front, directly in front of a note, that sharp lasts the whole measure. So this D here is sharped, and this D here is also sharp. Pause the video and analyze these chords, and then press play, and I'll show you the correct answer. All right, here are the answers. This first chord is an E minor chord. That E is just repeated in root position. There's the E minor, and that's the 1 chord. We already said this was the C major 6 chord. This is a B minor triad. We have B, D, F sharp, then an extra B on top, which we can just remove to see there's our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chord, the key of B minor. Again, if this is unfamiliar to you, go back and review my lessons on diatonic chords in minor keys, and specifically looking at my lesson on E minor. This is a G major triad, which is our 3 chord, 1, 2, 3. And then last of all, we have a B major chord, which is our 5 chord. Now, let's take a look at actually learning to play the right hand part. Before I show it to you, I'd like you to challenge yourself and try and learn this on your own. Pause the video and learn from measure 1 up through this repeat sign. Try and learn the right hand part on your own, and then press play, and we'll look at it together. Here's the right hand part, measures 1 through 8. I'll play it at a moderato tempo. 1, 2, 3. Don't forget all the F sharps. If that matched what you played, great job. You can always go back and fix anything if you need to. Otherwise, pause the video now and try to learn the left-hand part, measures 1 through 8, on your own, and then I'll demonstrate it. Here's the left-hand part, measures 1 through 8. Rest. 2. Rest. Rest. Now, notice here in measure 8, this forzando marking. That is what composers use to show a really strong accent. They want kind of a surprise there. So you can really go for it there, especially with your left hand. The left hand's playing the melody here. In measures 1 and 2, it's marked pianissimo and staccato. So keep your fingers very close to the keys, set your fingers in just the right shape you need for this chord, and then just give it the most gentle poke, keeping your fingers very close to the keys. Really crisp, short, and very soft sound. See how quiet and precise you can make those chords. Listen that every note plays exactly together. Now you try. Then, as we go into measure 3, make sure the right hand has a very legato sound while the left hand maintains this staccato. It's tricky. So you might practice this very slowly at first. And I like to think of my right hand being very sticky. These notes stick, while my left hand has to be very electric. And then for that last staccato, a little wrist lift as you come off of that phrase. For your practicing this week, I recommend using a metronome. Find a speed you can play it at comfortably with no pauses and no missed notes. This usually means you need to spend a little time without the metronome, just learning and getting comfortable with the notes. But the metronome will help you make sure you're keeping a very steady beat. Make sure you're differentiating between the quarter notes and eighth notes. Ta, ta. So this is 1 note per click, then 2 notes per click on the eighth note. T, 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 ta, ta, ta. So that's at a metronome speed of 80. Once you can play that with no missed notes, no pauses, start with right hand alone, start with left hand alone, put it hands together when you're ready, and then gradually speed that up until you can play it. Your final tempo will probably be around maybe 176. But whatever speed you choose for your final performance needs to be right for you. That might be the speed that works for me, but everyone's going to have their own final speed. Great job learning the A section of Elfin Dance. Thanks for watching and learning with me, and happy practicing.
I could hear the little elves dancing, and I thought they sounded mischievous. What do you think?
I wasn't hearing elves.
You weren't? What did you hear?
I actually heard a motorcycle gang of frogs.
Frogs?
Little frogs on little motorcycles with red bandanas racing around the countryside, making lots of noise, then driving into the sunset.
You have a very powerful imagination.
So powerful, in fact, I think I can actually hear it. And see it!
Well, let's not get carried away.
No, really! Right behind you!
Huh?
Me? Sure! Woohoo!